The Department of Justice's Religious Liberty Commission honored Charlie Kirk at a hearing in D.C. this week. They called him a martyr who gave his life for religious freedom. Joining me now is the president of the Family Research Council, Tony Perkins, back on the show. Tony, Charlie was all about his faith. Is that the most important part of his legacy, do you think?
Well, Stuart, I think that's what gave him the courage to stand and speak courageously, and that's what drives the left crazy, is that they want to marginalize people of faith, as we've seen with Hillary Clinton. She wants to marginalize men, and that's so that they'll shrink back, and that is the left's path to power, is people who will be silent and be led like sheep.
But I'm looking at the crowds last night. I think there was 6,500 people turned out for it, the biggest crowd Turning Point USA has ever had. That tells me that his legacy will live on. What say you to this?
I agree with you, Stuart. He inspired people. He inspired people with what happened. It revealed what the left despises. And again, it goes back to people who have conviction, that is the faith element, and the courage which comes from that to speak truth to a culture that has rejected truth. I do hope and pray that it is a turning point for our country.
One more for you, Tony, and let's get to Hillary Clinton. She had this to say about, quote, certain white men of a certain religion. Listen to this.
The idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way.
Tony, tell me, who is she talking about?
Well, let me say, this is not another one of those basket of deplorable statements that she made about 9 years ago. This is revealing. All right, Stuart, this is revealing. Going back to what we were just talking about with Charlie Kirk, this reveals what the left sees as blocking their path to power. It is men of conviction that have the courage to stand up. And here's what happens when you attack manhood, masculinity. And it's not just white men. They're easy to pick on. She's talking about all men who understand they have a role to play. Because if you attack masculinity, you attack men, you attack the family. And when you fracture the family, what you do is you create chaos in communities. And that is the path to power for the left. They feed on this chaos. They feed on the destruction of the family because that allows them to expand government and their power.
Tony, I suspect there's a cultural revolution going on, and it's just started. What do you say to that?
Stuart, I agree with you, and I think, it was already stirring. What happened with Charlie, his assassination, was a catalyst, that it sparked something that was already there, and it has ignited. And my hope and prayer is, like we saw in 9/11, 24 years ago, there was a move back to the church, but it was short-lived. Because the younger generation has been fed an ideology that has left them empty and void, and Charlie challenged that, I think this could have staying power, and we're going to do our best to feed that and fuel it so that it does, because America does need a turning point.
Tony Perkins, great to have you back on the show. Good to see you again, and I hope to see you again real soon.
Thank you,
Tony.